jam-packed agenda for everybody. Before we get started, just going to make an introduction for anyone who doesn't know me. My name is Kelly. I've been with ByWater for about 7 years and kind of dabbled in both education, and now I'm moved over to sales, but I love documentation and upgrades are really fun. So I'm back. For everyone who missed me, I'm back to do upgrade webinars with y'all. And then I've brought some friends. So I brought some great team members in ByWater who are going to be here. If you have any difficult questions or if they want to put in their, 2 cents, they're welcome to. So I'll go ahead and let everyone introduce themselves just in case people are not familiar with who you are. And I will pass it to Lizette first.
Hi everyone, I'm Lizette Shear. I'm on the development team here at ByWater Solutions, and I come from a background in consortia in public libraries. I was on the education team for about a year when I started here, and then I moved over to the development team last year. And glad to be here. And I'm going to pass it to Brian.
Everyone. My name is Brian. I'm the head of support here at ByWater. Been with ByWater for, I think, 6 months now. Yeah. And I'll pass it over to Evelyn.
Hi, I'm Evelyn. I am the security operations admin here. I'm on the sysadmin team, and I've been with ByWater for 3 years. And I'll hand it over to Heba.
Hi, I'm Heba Amin Headley. I'm one of the education team. I will be with ByWater 3 years as of tomorrow, actually. And I came from public libraries before I came here, and I started as a report writer before I finagled my way onto the education team. So glad to be here.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you again, everyone, for showing up today. We're going to talk about our upgrades that are going to be happening a little bit later than we originally anticipated. So I do have a little bit of news that I want to share with everybody, that we are going to postpone our 2405 upgrade by 1 month. So we have identified some bugs that we want to really get done before we deploy to all of our partners out there. So once we get some specific dates, we'll be reaching out to you, but we are excited. This is a double upgrade, so we have lots to show you and talk about with you today. And we want to make sure that we are all be prepared for what's coming up. And this gives you more opportunity to watch all our past Monday Minutes where we've talked about upgrade things and our future and go through that documentation. So just know that more information will be coming about the rescheduling of our upgrades. So thank you everyone for your support and help. And Christopher, I will not identify all those bugs, but I'm sure we can talk about them at some point or go down that road. But I am going to talk about today features, enhancements that are coming in 2405 and 2311. So one last thing. Shout out to all our early adopters that have gone through this process. We did upgrade our early adopters. They were happy enough to find those bugs for us. And I just want to say from my heart, thank you so much for playing around, testing, and being that person that lets us know what's going on. Koha is a community-driven support, so we appreciate your community in any way you can do it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And yes, as Rebecca said, brave early adopters. So, but it's really fantastic. As much as we play around with it, it's great to see it in the real life environment that our early adopters can do. So without further ado, I'm going to pop over and share my screen. And I will share one more time our agenda, just so everyone can play along. And again, please feel free to use the chat and ask us questions as we go through. Oh, and I potentially have a dog is done barking, hopefully. Okay, we are going to start off with patrons and CERC. Scroll way to the top of my document. And we're going to first start with talking about the automation of resolving return claims when checking in an item. So this is really happy and super fun This was sponsored by Altadena Library District. So if anyone's there, shout out to Altadena. So this is the ability to really just resolve that returned claim once it's checked in or checked out to another patron. As we all know, a lot of things start with that system preference. So I'm going to pop over to my system preferences and just type in auto claim, and there are going to be two, so we're going to see both of them. Auto claim return status on check-in and auto claim return status on checkout. These are not going to be turned on by default for your library. You will need to come in and decide on how you want Koha to handle this automation. You can choose one of the authorized values that are linked to the return claim resolution here. And it's nice that it's super clickable. I love how the system preferences are making a lot of information into the actual system preference. And then you're going to be able to choose one of those options. So I have the option to say, hey, when it's checked in, what should that resolution be? And when it's checked out. So if a patron came up and brought me the book, what is that going to be? So I've made those both found in the library. That seems plausible to me, but of course you can choose that or add your own authorized values. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my home, and I'm going to check in this book. And this is previously marked claimed automatically. The previously claimed return has been found, automatically resolving the associated claim. So let's pop over to Anne Shirley's account. We're going to scroll down to her claimed options. Move my little screen so I can see those. And there it is. This is the title. These are the notes. And this is what happens when it's resolved. So it's found in the library. So it's going to go back to available, checked in, and that resolution will be removed from the patron's account and marked found in the library.
Kelly, we have a great question.
We
How do you
do.
add additional values to besides found in the library?
So I'm going to pop back. I love the back button in Koha. I'm going to pop back and just click to return claim resolution, which will bring me directly to where those resolutions live. And I can easily come up here and say new authorized value. The authorized value will be the code. So that's 10 characters or less, no spaces or special characters. And you're going to go ahead and create one yourself. So add that code, and then you can add a description, and then it's going to permanently live there and appear in your dropdown. Okay, so let's go ahead and maybe we'll just check one. We'll check one right out.
And Rebecca asks, what happens if the claims resolved is already resolved?
Well, we can always check in and see what happens, but I'm sure it's just going to say
we'll follow up on that one.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to check out this item to myself. Oh, I like it's blue. So it says, hey, this has already been claimed. So I'm going to automatically resolve that. And then also says, because it's checked out to a patron, because depending on how your library has set up claimed returns, whether it stays on the account or not, this is staying on the account. So it's also going to say, hey, it's already checked out to somebody. Do you want to continue this process? I see the blue saying it was claimed return. So it makes sense that I can go ahead and check that out to Kelly, and it will be removed from Maggie and again, resolved automatically by Koha. Just for giggles, I'm going to do one more check into that one that you just asked about, Heba, just because I have one more thing to show. Just says check in. But we do have two new columns in the checked in item option. So you are going to see transfer to and transfer reason. So that is also something new to the effect of this screen itself for check-in process. I'll do one more. I get a little transfer. But in that one, I can say from this check-in screen, I have the ability to see it's transferring to the main library, and the reason of transfer is hold. So that's not on the agenda, but there's a lot of little things that I'm just going to show throughout to say, hey, you might notice this, and it's really helpful. Okay, I'm going to head to my favorite, oh, my dear favorite item search, and wow, look at this. It's all different. How exciting is this? The item search has gotten a little facelift and it's a little different, but how fantastic. I can go through, pick choices here. I can actually say is not, and then I'm going to gather everything that it is. So it's a little bit different. This is super fantastic. I'm not changing any real functionality. I'm just getting a different look to my item search. I have one more value that has been added to the item search for damaged. So that is bringing in my damaged authorized values. So I can go ahead and run my item search looking at damaged. I'm pretty sure we've covered most things now in item search as we slowly go through the releases, how they've added more and more things. And then the other thing that we have is when we go ahead and search in our item searches, we have way over to the right, we have last checkout date. So that has also been added to your item search results. You'll get a last checkout date. Now, I love a good table. I love all this data, but somebody said, hey, wouldn't it be great if we had configuration of this table? So that I know that bug has been filed. Oh, I don't have it written down, but there is a bug been filed to say, could we configure this table like we can configure other tables to see what we want to see? So more to come on that. That's a really great enhancement. Okay, I love good facelifts, right? So let's go ahead and look at another facelift in Koha. We're just loving, loving, loving the options that we have when Koha makes it look so pretty. This next feature is the ability to place multiple item level holds at once on the same record. So exciting. So we're going to go into a system preference and it's called display multi-item holds. It's going to be turned off by default, but if you turn this to enable, this will allow the ability for staff and on the OPAC to place holds on different items at the same time. If I come in here and search the catalog, I don't know about you, but this was a great TV show. Love it. Yellowstone. I'm going to pick one of those. This is season 3. I'm going to go ahead and place a hold. Type in my dear old Anne Shirley, and that's Anne with an E. And look at that. Now we have little buttons on the left-hand side, a little green check mark, very clear that it's saying, hey, hold on the next available. That is check marked for me. It also took that holds to place if folks are using that and brought it down a little bit lower because it used to be up here. And then you can see I have hold on a specific item. So I can easily go ahead and click that. And then I can go ahead and say, hey, this is the beginning of the season. I'm going to say, I love season 3, disc 1 and 2, and place a hold. So being able to place multiple items at the same time on the same record. Now, we know, or we should know, or we now will know after I tell you, that you definitely need item level holds turned on in your circulation rules to be able to have item level holds being placed. So that's definitely something you need to do before you go to this. And then something else to note, if you are an Aspen library, this is currently not functionality that exists. So for Aspen libraries, that is not functionality that you can do, but maybe more to come. Okay. You know what? Let's pop over to the OPAC and do that just for fun. Let's go ahead and grab the same thing. I'm going to log out of my little Kelly account. And that's Anne with an E. Do that same Yellowstone because I know I have multiple discs on that account. That's why I'm choosing that one. Go to my season 3, place that hold. And then I can come down here and I can say, hey, let me grab 3 and 4. And then I'm going to confirm that hold as well. So amazing. So amazing that I have that ability to go ahead and do multiple items on the same hold, same record. Okay. The next one that we are going to talk about, and this is also so exciting that's happened, is the ability to automatically change the loss status when an item is paid for. And this is sponsored by Cuyahoga County Public Library. And I want to say thank you to all the libraries we're going to shout out today. If I forget to say yay, thank you so much. Yay, thank you so much. We love the fact that everyone has that same functionality. If somebody pays for that development or has that development, it's really fantastic to be able to all of us have it. So I wonder if anyone can guess where I'm going to go next. How would I turn this on? You guessed it, system preferences. So we're going to go over to admin, global system preferences, and we have two more. Update, item, lost. Thank you, Mike. You got it. Update item loss status when paid and update item loss status when write off. These are also being driven by authorized values. So your loss statuses are going to be your options in this dropdown. So again, if you want to add more because of this functionality, you can absolutely do that in authorized values under lost. Now, I loved that the return claim resolution had a link. This one does not. So maybe I'll file a bug when I'm done. So I could click over there. But update item loss status. So I can choose to say what happens when it gets paid, what status does it change to, and what happens when it gets written off. So I can have two different statuses. Again, this is not going to be turned on for libraries. You will have to turn this on yourself. Okay, so let's head over to not our Ann lady. We're going to head over to Joe. Joe March has a lost item. So let's pop over there. Let's look at her checkouts. And there's her lost Fall of Ruin and Wrath. So we're going to go ahead and pay for that. I'm going to hit that pay button, pay that $30, and confirm. And then when I go to her checkout, Fall and Ruin will have disappeared from her account because it's been paid. But if I come back to accounting, I have all the quick links. I'm going to go over to her account, to that title itself, and we can see that it is that lost and paid for status. So that option is now something that's going to be done automatically for us. Oops. My other holdings, there's my lost and paid for. Just really streamlining. It's amazing and so helpful to be able to have something kind of like done super easy. So this is one of those opportunities that it's like, hey, it's already done for me. I paid for it and now it's going to change that status. So the same process will be done for your written off. So if you write it off, again, if you change that status, it will do the same process for you. Whoop, whoop. Thank you so much. Okay. The next one, add ability to specify patron attribute as a date. I never thought about this. I don't know. I guess I never thought about patron attributes in date format, but I think that there's a great opportunity here. If there are libraries that are using patron attributes, you can now associate values to a date or topics to a date. Under admin, so for libraries that aren't using patron attributes, they're found under admin. And this is a way to gather more patron data. And these are going to show up in your patron detail page, and I'll pop over there once we've shown this. But you now have the opportunity when you're either creating a patron attribute, you have the option to say is a date. So if you check that, then Kohan knows, and it's going to give you a nice date picker in that value itself. So I'm going to pop over to my account. And I'm going to go ahead and edit and head down to my patron attribute area. And now you can see I have a date picker. So I have a library policy that they've signed and updated. So I can go ahead and mark that and save that as a date. I have a few other patron attributes on this patron form. You can see completed 3D. This is pulling in from an authorized value. Those are like super special words today. Authorized value all over the place. So this is pulling in from a no yes value. This is a pre-populated authorized value that I've created for like a census. And then this is a free text. So thinking about all that data that you want to store on a patron that's outside the patron form, you absolutely have that opportunity for patron attributes. So super fun. Okay. The next one, this is not as flashy as others, but the next one is 29145, the ability, allow patrons to have overdue items that would not result in debarment when removing overdue debarments. Wow, that's a sentence and a half. This is saying, hey, sometimes we would like to remove the restriction for specific overdues, but not all for not returning all the overdues. So we're headed back over to the system preferences. I had to sprinkle them in. We can't just sit in system preferences all day long, but we'll head over here a lot. So this system preference has always existed on your system. Auto remove overdue restrictions, always been there. The choices were do, don't. We have added a third option. So we still have don't. Our do has now turned to if patron has no remaining overdue items. So legitimately, everything that is overdue has to be returned before that restriction is pulled back. Or the third option is if the patron has no remaining items that is cause for debarment. So they could still have overdue items on their account, but they have not applied to that point of being restricted through your overdue notice status triggers. When you get upgraded, no one will have the third option. If this is something you want, you're going to come into your system preferences and choose this one. This one's so fun. Oh, get so excited. Okay. How about we want to be able to see local uses on our item holding record? I mean, let's give it a hoo-yah. So bug 16122, item record needs to keep local use count. Now we have the ability to see our local use count from our item holding page. I'm going to pull up this Vegetable Kingdom cookbook, scroll down a little bit, and now you see local uses is its own column. Something to note, this is not going to be on by default, so you will need to go into your column configuration, either come in here as an admin and hit this column, or go in through admin and go to table settings. I find it extremely helpful because table settings is a very long page, is come in here and click columns, and then it will go directly to where it needs to go. But either way will get you there. And you can turn on this option. By default, this is not going to be on. So you have to go into table settings. The other thing is your local use count will not be updated when you go into the new upgrade. If you want this and you want to see your local uses and you are a ByWater partner, go ahead and submit a ticket, and our data team will be updating those local use counts from the statistics table. So again, something you can turn on from column settings, and then also go ahead and submit a ticket and get those updated. So excited. I'm loving the comments, loving them. Way to go. You guys are just fantastic. Okay. I'm going to pause for effect here. Okay, next one, 31357, separate holds history from intranet reading history. Sponsored by Cuyahoga County Public Library. Thank you again, Cuyahoga County. So let's take me back a few versions. We got hold history included into the patron detail page. If you're from 3 point whatever in Koha, like when I started, you never had the ability to look at past holds. You had to go through notices and see if we send a notice to say what hold they placed. So holds history was fantastic to have the opportunity to see. However, it was, when it was released, connected to intranet reading history. So for libraries that were not allowing their staff to see the patrons checkout history, staff would also not be able to see their holds history. In this new release, they are going to be separated. So we have another system preference. So we're going to keep intranet reading history, and then we've added intranet reading history holds. That means you can not show staff patrons checkouts, but you can show staff hold history. By default, if you had this set to allow, when you're upgraded, intranet reading history holds will be set to allow as well. If you had this set to don't allow, intranet reading history holds will be set to do not allow. So if it's something you want to turn on and turn off, like now you have history of the holds available and you want to keep intranet reading history back off, you can absolutely do that. So note, this is so exciting. So now your staff will be able to see that. If you never had intranet reading history on, they'll be able to have their history of their holds. Okay. I always love that nice little alert. Hey, you didn't save what you just changed. So there we go. Okay. The next one, add 32730. Add patron lists to patron list tab to patron details and circulation pages. What a fantastic opportunity to see if a patron is connected to a list. So for libraries using patron lists, this may be very helpful. I have a new tab on this account, and that says patron lists here. And this will allow me to see if this patron is part of a list. It's a clickable list. I have actions to do more to this list from here. And I also have options to add this patron to more lists. So just a ton of functionality for lists within the patron account. Now, this is permission-based. So for libraries that want this functionality for specific patrons, staff patrons, they can absolutely add this permission, which is going to be under the add, modify, and view patron option in permissions. So I'm going to pop over there, just going to go into Anne Shirley's. And this is that new sub permission. They need to have that to be able to manipulate lists, click those lists. I'm going to come up here and choose to change my account to another staff member so we can see what it looks like from their point of view if they don't have this permission. Y'all, I just turned on yoga on my phone, on my watch on accident. So it's like beeping, like yoga, it's time for yoga. So here, hold on. Okay. As I go and change my account, I just want to point out this little spoke cog. I don't know what it's called. This is something that's new also with Go On. Mine's not working. There we go. Sorry, I don't know what happened. The little cog, instead of bringing me to this page where I went, it allows me to change this information directly from here. It's kind of like not leaving the area. Not that that matters, but it may matter to somebody. It's just add this little cog. I'm going to hit log out. I'm going to pop into another staff patron account just so we can see what it looks like. I'm going to head over to Anne Shirley again. So we know that Anne is part of a list. I click over to lists. I can see they are part of a list, but I've lost the options of action or adding them to a list and clickable list. So I can't even click this list, but I do see that they are part of a patron list. Perfect. I almost put my entire password in before I knew I was typing it in. That's true. I agree. George said he wished patron lists and lists had different names. The power is in your hands, George. File a bug. What do you want it to be called? I don't know if it's that easy, but like you might as well try. Okay. The next enhancement, show information about patrons, guarantees, charges on patron details page. Now, there's nothing different about this. This is being driven from an existing system preference called no issue charge guarantors with guarantees. I'll put it in just so you can see this one. So it's pulling from this. But I guess at some point in the current version you're in, the only place that the charges and guarantors show is from the this page, the checkout page. And somebody said, wouldn't it be great if we could see it from the detail page, this page? So for whatever reason, I'm not seeing it, but you can see that it would show up here under attention, as well as it would show up over here. So something nice to see. I can't see why it's not. Let me pull up Jenny. Oh, Jenny's not showing either. I apologize, but it does show. Okay. The next one, we have the ability to send a final auto renewal notice to 34924. This is sponsored by Montgomery County Library System. There's not a ton I can show in this one, but it's good to note that we have now included text that would allow for a more clear notice to say, hey, this is your last renewal if for libraries using auto renewals. I had a long conversation with Lucas. Y'all know Lucas, who does a lot of notices and slips and makes those customizations that you libraries would like to evolve and what it says, especially for auto renewals, because when it originally came out, the text was a little bit unclear how it worked. So this is allowing for that. It causes an error, which will then be able to be pulled out, and that error can make that notice happen, or that text in the notice to happen. For libraries that are currently on Koha and getting upgraded, this notice will not be applied to your system. We can't apply new notices because you could have updated those notices and made those your own, because you can customize notices. So when we head over to our resources, at the end, this will be one where I have a default notice showing. That's the original one that was just created with this newest release that has that language that says, this is your last renewal. However, and you are absolutely able to copy and paste it into your notice if you want. However, if your library has already made modifications to your auto renewal notice and don't want to lose those existing modifications, it's probably best as a partner of ByWater to go ahead and submit a ticket, and Lucas would be happy to help add that information into your notice for you. This is one of those notices that I know a lot of folks have added and manipulated, so potentially using the new auto renewal notice that includes that final notice information may not be as helpful to some libraries. So know you have a couple of options there. There is a default one that you can add, or you can go ahead and let us know and we can help you do that. Okay. I know. Somebody said I can stop bugging Lucas about our auto renewal notices. Yes, let's hope. Let's hope we can stop. And yes, Lucas is one of the amazing developers. Yes, so he will be able to help you do that. And he's well aware of that he'll be hearing from some of you. Okay, this one's really fun. If there's anyone out there that are using hourly loans in Koha, this very old bug, so this is a 4-digit bug, 6796, overnight checkouts take into account opening and closing hours. This is going to help libraries potentially with their hourly loans. So for libraries that are using hourly loans, your first step is you're going to tell Koha your hours that you're open and closed. So adding your hours will be done in the library section under admin. So this is where all your branch information lives. So you can see here I have the East branch, and there is a nice little schedule of open and close that's been added. So you're going to add those in. Tell Koha, hey, I open at this time and I close at this time. And you're like, hey, I wonder why, Kelly? That sounds really fun. But like, Why? What's going to help? The next part you're going to do after you do that, so it's a little setup involved, you're going to go to a system preference that's called Consider Library Hours in Circulation. And you're going to tell Koha how it should handle hourly loans in due dates. So you have three options. Shorten the loan period and set the checkout to be due at the library's close time. So if I was checking something out that was 3 hours, but my library was closing in 2 hours, shortening would say, hey, make it the due date at the closing time. The next one would be saying, hey, don't even think about the hours, no problem. Or extend the loan period and set the checkout to be due at the library's opening time. So again, for my example, if I was checking something out that was 3 hours and it was 2 hours the library was closing, my due date would be the next day at the opening hour of my library. So for libraries using hourly loans, absolutely. Go ahead and add your opening and closing times, and then adjust this system preference how you like it to handle that.
We've got an interesting one, Kelly, a couple interesting ones. One's like, what about the libraries where 1 a.m. is the closing time the next day?
Oh, good one. Good one.
And then the follow-up, because Crispy's going to make it complicated for us. What about libraries that have a split day?
Lizette, you have any thoughts? 1 a.m. closing time.
That one, I'm not sure if it's smart enough for right now. I'm hopping on to look at the code a little bit. I'll look at the code and we can add that to questions and come back.
Thank you. No, these are great questions. I love to see the let's push our boundaries and see, and every library is super different. So let's try to figure out how it can work in Koha. So yeah, absolutely. And that's why I have Lizette here. That's why I have all this gang here to get these questions answered. Okay. Will the hours show on the library's page in the OPAC as well? Ooh, good question. I don't think by default, but we can absolutely make it so. So it's not something that's going to turn on by default, but yes, it would be something that we could take that piece of information and throw it into the OPAC. Okay, this is the last one in patrons in Circ. I know you're super sad, but this is 17617. Add the ability of sending a confirmation email to a patron when a hold is placed. I know that there are libraries out there that have patrons that would love to have this option to say, hey, I'd love an email to make sure I absolutely need to know that I did actually go through that right process and place the holds. So you do have that option. This is a system preference called email patron, if I can spell. Email patron when hold is placed, and that will be set to no or don't by default, and you would go ahead and hit email. Pause here for a second. In both the 2311 and the 2405 release notes that we have published on our website, there is a section where every system preference that has been added is listed. So if this is something that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm totally overwhelmed with the number of system preferences Kelly is saying, know that those are listed somewhere and you can always add them. A little helpful tidbit, we have a Koha community gifted webinar series where we have partners doing presentations, webinar presentations, and we had one last month that was done by Laurel Moran at the San Diego Law Library, and hers was all about system admin. And she had this fabulous way of handling upgrades and adding those system preferences and what they've decided to turn on and turn off. And it was really a great opportunity to kind of hear how people handle upgrades, as well as changes that they've made. So I'll go ahead and link that. We're going to talk about the Koha Community Gifted Program a little later, but just note that there are resources to say hey, I just want to know what the new system preferences are, and those are listed at those in those blog posts.
Kelly,
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question from Nancy. Will the patron have the option of turning off that notice in their record?
Not
Or is
at this,
that one global?
that's global. Yep. But I think that's a good, no, I'm wrong, Crispy, or no, you don't like that. That is a global thing at this point. Absolutely. I know, but we can make it better. File a bug.
I honestly see this one working more for the small special libraries than like the big public libraries where people place 10 holds at a time.
Yep,
Or maybe that's just me.
Yep. So just so you know that it is a new notice that has been created in your system. So you will get that. It's called hold placed _ patron, and that will be built in with some default text. So if you do turn that on, that notice it has already been created for you. Yep. I think the hold place notice is for the library to get it.
Yes, there is another system preference where libraries can get a notice every time a patron places a hold.
And that
Again,
goes
one of those ones like small special library.
Yeah. It's just, it goes right directly to the library email address to say, hey, somebody placed a hold. If you don't turn on the system preference, it's not going to go out at all. You don't need to remove the text. So if you don't turn the system preference on, it's not going to send. You don't have to worry about the text in the notice sending. Okay, perfect. Okay, hope everyone's staying awake and they're enjoying their lunch or coffee or tea, because we're headed to administration, the fun section, right? Is this the fun section for people or the not so fun section? Okay. Perfect. Oh, I know, cataloging. Yes. Okay, here we go. We are adding a protected status to patrons. There's also an icon connected to that protected status. There are not permissions. Don't even look at that part. It's also the protected status is added to the unwanted borrower field system preference. So let's talk about protected status. How many libraries out there has an anonymous patron in their database and they've just stumbled upon it? Oop, yes. Or have SIP accounts that are patrons. Yep, right? We all have these patrons that are not patrons, but we need them in the system. API access patrons. We have those patrons. So if I type in just my SIP patron, here's my SIP account. I have like do not delete. I make it very clear that this is kind of an admin patron. Now we have the ability with this protected status to protect this patron. This little icon, this little lock, it will be applied to any patron that you have applied the protected status to. So if I go into edit this patron and scroll down to the library section, I have this option that says protected, yes or no. Now this is going to protect the patron from being edited, but not deleted. So it could still be deleted, but you know that's a permission for staff. Hopefully people don't just delete random patrons, but this is protected. Now, for libraries that, in my mind, I can see somebody going in and making all the patrons protected that need to be protected. And then you could go into your unwanted borrower field and make it unwanted and just turn that off so you can't see that. So it does exist on your patron form here, but you can always turn it off in your unwanted borrower system preference. And I'll just go over there because I just love it so much. There's your unwanted. So you could come in here, turn that protected, and then it's clearly not there at all for anyone to make patrons protected by accident or for whatever reason. So it's adding a protected status, it's adding a field in your borrower, and it's adding a little icon.
Felicity has a great use of this. Can we protect staff accounts from breaking their SSO counts by editing them? So protecting an SSO login so people don't accidentally change the wrong password.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good. Perfect. Yeah. Great. See, we love it. We love it. Use all the things. So you have lots of functionality within that. And a double release kind of has a lot of things, but it also allows for like a feature to be evolved through. So like in 23.11, it just had protected status. It didn't, I don't even think it had an icon. Now it has an icon and it's in borrower unwanted field. So it's kind of made its way through the system a little bit.
And then we have a follow-up to that. Can you batch protect accounts?
We
That's a
do.
really great question.
Yes, I don't believe it is in the batch patron modification tool, but I think it would be good to have it for this case to have everybody do it. Or probably you could, ByWater could do that if you had a lot. We could create a report some way.
And then we have one more follow-up question, because this is the hotness, this topic.
Mhm.
Will permissions be added to this? So admins can protect or not protect, but not the rest of staff.
There is an existing bug. I filed it for permission, so that's probably why I wrote permission in there, if that's what it says on my agenda. I'm being questioned on why it should be a permission, so please add your comments. If somebody could do me a favor and find that bug and post it in the chat, that would be great. But I said I thought it should be a permission, and then there's been sort of some pushback in that. So if you agree with me, please add your comments.
Oh, I got a bug. Put it in chat.
Thank you, Heba. Thank you, Rebecca. Whoop, whoop. Permissions unite. Okay. The next one is a little change in a system preference. This is called track last patron activity. It was previously known as track last patron. So, or activity, track last patron. We added the word triggers to it. Track last patron activity triggers. So in your current version of Koha, this is yes track or no track. And what it was tracking was three things: checking out an item, connecting to Koha via SIP, so like your Biblioteca RF, like self-checkouts, or Overdrive, anything that's a SIP connection, or logging in, like logging into the OPAC. Those are the three things that it was tracking. This new system preference is evolved. So it's allowing staff to choose which activities to actually track. So you can pick any of these or all of these. This will track your patrons once a day. So this will update the value in the borrower's last seen database with the date and time of their first activity of the day. So it's not going to repeatedly update. It's just going to do it one time. And that's going to be super helpful for libraries that want to utilize another feature we talked about in Monday Minutes, is the ability to automatically renew patron membership. So we talked about that in Monday Minutes. That says, wouldn't it be great if we could automatically renew patron membership if they were active in their account? Well, that active comes from the borrower's last seen date, and something has to be chosen here to activate that. So keep that in mind. You don't have to track everything. You're not doing anything but like updating that date and time, and you have some options on how you want to track them. And track is kind of like just making sure that date and time is updated. So we have a Monday Minutes. I don't think we had Liz on. If anyone remembers that Monday Minutes where Liz talked about that cron job. And this is also going to look at the track last patron activity trigger. Oh, I know we don't have Liz on enough, but Liz is a very busy person. Very busy, very busy. But I will note that, and I will have Liz on again soon. Okay. Super fun. 30623. Copy permissions from one user to another. Amen. So for libraries out there that, hey, I have this circulation person, I just hired another circulation person. Instead of me clicking all the things that the other person has, I can copy permissions from one user to another. How fantastic is that? So let's pull up a staff patron in my account. I'm going to go to those permissions. and I have this copy settings. So I'm going to hit that copy settings, and then I'm going to go and pull up another staff account, go to their permissions, and hit paste settings. And look at that. Hit save. Now Rebecca Brown has all the same permissions as Emily Henry. Really easy. Think of all the time, less clicking. So exciting. I'm not going to save that, but believe me, it works. But I just want to prep for the next one. So I'm just going to hit cancel. Years. Oh, somebody's getting years of their life back. See, the clicking is so exciting.
We did have a follow-up question
Yeah.
of that so this would replace managing everyone in the quote stupid lists. I think that really depends on library size and how much time you want to save.
Yeah, and for larger libraries, if you're not aware, there is a plugin that you can use for batch permission application that you could have those lists, and those are super manageable that everyone that has those circulation permissions. You, of course, can create a report to show what permissions and bulk those permissions in a report to say, show me everyone who has these specific permissions. So you have a little bit of, options. But I know from a small to a medium library, this will be really helpful to be able to, I have a new staff member, I have a new student worker, I have a new cataloger, and just not having to remember which ones you're clicking. Can we go to another account and paste again? Sure, you can. If you do that, you can paste, and then you have an option that says forget copied settings. So if you are fearful that you're going to paste on accident or you don't want to paste again, you can go ahead and forget those. Yep, and Bob from Click is saying, hey, don't forget that batch permission is really useful. And we can grab that blog post. If anyone can grab that blog post, it breaks it down. No batch pasting yet. Ooh, I'm not sure what you mean. Do you know what batch pasting means? I did batch paste.
I think to paste to multiple, copy from one person and then give them to more than one.
Yeah, you can do that. I think it's going to retain because there's an option that says forget. So we could go back and go Emily, let me pull it back because I didn't even save it on Rebecca. Come in here, copy, and let's go back to Rebecca because I didn't save her. Paste. She has hers. Save. Let's pull up. Oh, I wonder if I can overdo one. Pull up my Stephen guy. Copy. Yeah, you can continuously paste from patron to patron if you want. You can just, at one point, you can remove them as well. Okay. The next one has to do with Elasticsearch. So I know that there are libraries out there that use Elasticsearch, and then there are libraries that still have our Zebra search. So this pertains to libraries using Elasticsearch specifically. If there are libraries out there that still have Zebra and want to go to Elasticsearch, please let us know, because we're happy to move you over, and have been moving folks over the last few years to Elasticsearch. But there's a lot of great configuration and power that you have with Elasticsearch outside of Zebra. This is not really much I can show you, but just to say that there are several new search indexes that have been added to Elasticsearch. If any of these are something you want us to add to your search engine configuration, this is something that you will need to send us a ticket, because any change to your Elasticsearch configuration requires a re-index. So we are adding quite a few new search indexes, such as the 020Z, the canceled ISBN. We're adding the 752. Guess I would need Heather to tell me Heather Hernandez, tell me what the 752 is. We're adding the 035 subfield A, which is going to help for authority records as a control number. We're going to add the 520, the 561, and the 563. And then finally, the 254, which is musical presentation. With each release, we have added search indexes. So if anything, it might be helpful if you say, hey, one of these appeals to me, let's go through it. And all it requires is a reindex. The other thing that has been added is from bug 27153. It's going to add a new field to the index, which is going to strip out punctuation out of a title, which would allow searching to not require punctuation when you're searching for a title that has punctuation. So I know that that's one that folks did comment a lot about in the bug itself, that this was important. So people didn't need to remember there was an apostrophe or just put an S. So again, that is something we would need to re-index for. So note to self, if you want to go through those and look at those indexes and say, yes, this is important to my library, just remember to put in a ticket for us. Even if it's just that stripping of the punctuation, we can certainly do that. So just a great way to enhance your searching in the Koha system. Oh, I love all this excitement. Oh, yay, punctuation not required. Yes, thanks, Heba. Heba put in the Monday minutes about the elastic. So if you are curious and you're not sure what it's all about, please feel free to watch that and ask us any questions. One more thing for Elasticsearch, and this is something that you do not need to be reindexed for. If you go to the middle column, you see this little arrow far to the right. I don't know if our videos are covering it, but there is a little arrow that if I click up, it's going to go to the top. That's new too. In the middle column, bibliographic records, I'm going to scroll back down. You have the ability to reorganize how your facets are ordered on both the staff side and the OPAC. So here is the order of your facets. If you wanted to change how your facets are ordered, both on the staff side and the OPAC, you can absolutely move those around, hit that save, and it's going to be applied to both the staff and the OPAC and how your facets are ordered. That does not require a reindex. That is something that you can absolutely do on yourself. I have no idea why we wouldn't want to. So yes, the arrow is fantastic. Another thing before we head over to tools, our last patron has evolved. So not only will you see just the last patron, you're going to see the last lots of patrons. So I think it goes to 10, but I'm going to be able to see a lot of patrons that I've accessed in this video, but in my browser history, it's going to save more than one, which is, I know, really important to a lot of libraries. Okay. Within tools, we have HTML customizations. And this has evolved in maybe 5 years, really taking a lot of system preferences and moving them over to being able to customize the look within the HTML customizations. And before it was known as HTML customizations, it was just tools. So we're bringing over a few more system preferences over to HTML customizations, and we're adding more customizations for libraries. So the ones that we have brought over from system preferences that now live here are specific to your OPAC. So your OPAC results sidebar, your OPAC maintenance notice, your OPAC suppression message are all going to now live here. And any of those customizations that were there are going to be moved over to that. If I go up to this new entry, just so you can kind of see, you can see this is where they all live if you want to add one. So if you're like, hey, I've never used this option, I want to add something to my OPAC results sidebar, and I can show you where that lives. You can go ahead, pull that up, and then add information down here. It works just like our old news used to work, where you're going to pick the publication date, how it appears, and then use your WYSIWYG. When you have it already created and saved, you can absolutely come in here and preview that comment, preview that what you have, and then you can edit any of these. The other thing that has been added to this HTML customizations is the ability to add customizations to specific home pages of modules, such as your cataloging module home, your acquisition module home. So you can see here I have staff cataloging home. If I pop over there, I've added one so you can see what it looks like. So I've added just a little cataloger's cheat sheet. So using that WYSIWYG, picking, cataloging home, I've added, and thank you to Koha US has created this nice cheat sheet. I have a link to that. So imagining just what you can add to each of these areas. And the areas are, let me go back. Acquisition home, authorities home, cataloging home, list home, patrons home, point of sale, and serials. You can add more information or text or anything you want, a little comic strip. You can add it to the here and it will display. Now, this appears to only be for the entire library system. This is not branch specific. I have filed a bug to say I would like it to be branch specific. But please feel free to comment. But it's great to have that opportunity to add just more information or helpful links to your staff in those different areas. Again, this is super easy. This is how to construct this. Let me just go into my cataloger one that I created so you can see it's pretty easy. I just added some words and I linked it, and that's all it shows. So the WYSIWYG is super helpful. I can add, make things center, colorful, emojis, copy paste, a table if I wanted. So you do have some fun there. Where can you access? I'll send that to you, but you can go to Koha US, the Koha US site, and they have a couple of different cheat sheets in different areas of Koha are really helpful. Good question. Okay. Moving on. We're doing good. I don't know how much further I have, but this page doesn't seem to ever end. So we're moving on. We have, I'm going to preface this by saying there's a lot of bugs attached here. This is an overview of TT added notices, template toolkit. Now, back in the day when we had notices, I'm going to pull up a notice and just show you what notices look like. I sound like my kids make fun of me. Back in the day.
Uphill both ways.
Yeah, we had to. There. Back in the day, we had hungry alligators. So borrower, we had these like little hungry alligators. I don't know what else to call them. And we would insert those from over here and populate them over here. Well, as we evolve in Koha, we've been around since 2000s. We're at 24 years. We are evolving our notices to add that template toolkit and removing the hungry alligators. Hungry alligators still work. So your notices will still send out. They'll be fantastic. However, any new notices that are added to your Koha system, such as that hold place _ patron we talked about, will be constructed in template toolkit. No notices that we are listing here on your agenda will be template toolkit on your system because, again, like we said earlier, we're not going to change your notices because you could already have customizations. So if you get a new notice or somebody creates a notice on your site, if you're a ByWater partner, you have a new notice created, it's most likely going to be in template toolkit. Let me go to my accepted one, and I'll show you one of the ones that was in one of those bugs. So here we have hard brackets and percentages and some text. So you can still work with the text. It's just a little bit different in removing those template, those like hungry alligators. And George has put in something in there. I have another link. I have two links. Which one did you put in? Notice and slip library. Okay, I have this one. There are some resources for template toolkit, and I appreciate everyone's hard work in getting that documentation so people can start to kind of understand where this data is coming from. If you want to change your notices to template toolkit, you can absolutely do that. But again, they are not going to not work. Okay, perfect. I think I covered everything. Oh no, I need to go back into one more thing in notices. One more tab on the middle here is new to the notice, and it's called format. And you're going to see this in your notices. This is bug 33478, and it's the ability to customize the format of notices when they're printed. This is sponsored by the Colorado Library Consortium, and it is a feature that you can customize the format of the notices. It is going to be really helpful to librarians and staff members that know CSS, but not necessarily helpful to somebody who doesn't know CSS. So this is going to focus on the CSS involved in your notice. If you are a partner of ByWater and we make customizations to your notices, we build them into the notice itself. The format is not where we would generally use it, although it is new. So maybe we'll evolve to that. But the CSS that's currently in your notices still is going to live in your notices there. This is just some future opportunity for libraries that want to apply different formats, or, hey, I'm going to use this for all my notices. This format is specifically for all my notices. You can certainly do that. So this is just an opportunity for libraries to really like get their CSS juices running and make those changes. Okay, perfect. George is asking a question, but he answered it himself. Okay. 35826, optimizing building of holds queue based on transport cost matrix. Oh, I see Lizette getting ready. She's like cracking her knuckles. This bug was created to help and expedite and get better the working of the transport cost matrix and the holds queue. So for libraries using both the transport cost matrix and the holds queue, that's going to get better, so much better. So this is going to get a better job at targeting holds based on the holds queue in addition to the transport cost matrix. There is further development that is in the works to evolve it a little bit more. So I'm going to put that in there. This is a fully sponsored development. So we're probably going to see that relatively soon. I don't know. That happens like really quick, right? Lizette? Just so quick. But that's going to improve it a little bit more. So for those larger libraries and the more complex kind of delivery systems that are going, this is really going to help and optimize the building of the holds queue. A note about this: if your library uses both the holds queue and the transport cost matrix, however, you've created a report of some sort that's going to run the holds queue, this is not going to take into account your transport cost matrix. Or if libraries want to start using the transport cost matrix and have a report to run their holds queue, like a manual report, again, those are not going to work together. So just note to self. Oh, did I miss something? I'll come back to that one. Thank you. Oh yeah, I don't see it. No, I'm not there yet. I think it's coming. So, oh, is it different on your sheets? My working notes might be different. Okay. Anyways, so that's going to be fantastic. Super excited about the optimizing of the building of the holds queue. Coming. The next one I want to talk about, just to kind of give you all a heads up, is report URLs are going to slightly change in the upgrade. So because of this bug, I don't think it's in my agenda, 34478, full CSRF protection, there was changes in URL links. That means if anyone is linking out a report, so if they have a report over here on the left-hand side, or they shared a report to somebody sharing that URL of a report and just people click it and it can run, that URL itself will not work. So you will get an error. There is a little change that's happening. Oh my gosh. And Christopher Brannon said he has a video coming out in minutes about this change. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Great. We'll link to that. I'm going to just, I'm just going to paste this in here just to kind of give you a visualization of how it's changing. The report, instead of an ID, it's going to say, instead of a reports equals, it's going to have an ID number. And then instead of phase equals runs, it's going to be op equals run. So there is a little bit of management. So think about where you might link out those reports. If you come into reports right here and run a report, no change. No change. Like I can run any report. It's if I took that URL of the run report and shared it with somebody, that's the one you're going to have a little mismanagement, and we need to like edit the URL a little bit in that search. So there's places that you could have that URL. We were thinking about them in your system preferences, maybe your internet user JS, you could have a report, or in your tools, you may have a report. So note to self, and we're happy to work with you if you're a library partner. JSON output reports will not be affected. So it's just the standard SQL URL. Oh gosh, I'm not going to finish in time. I already feel it. Okay. Bug 33703, entering date should be more flexible, accepting different entry formats. This is great. This is just the ability to like type in that format, you know, that date without using the slashes. However, if you try to edit a date, it's not going to work here. But if I try to edit this date and I say, oh, I meant to say it's the, you say, oh, it actually is doing it right now. You can see, if I try to edit it like that, it's going to go kind of funky. So at this point, just try to use the date picker. The date picker is going to be your friend. Now, if I typed in 07/15/2024, it's going to work. And that's really the purpose of the bug. But editing within the actual date might cause some issues, and it's not found everywhere. So they're kind of evaluating that and trying to find that where exactly it's happening. Perfect. Oh my goodness, we're going into the OPAC, everybody. The OPAC, and I only have 2 things in the OPAC, and I have so many other things. Okay. For libraries that want to add that little annoying box at the bottom that says, I've approved all your cookies. I mean, how many websites? Haven't we hit all the websites yet in life where you still see that? If you see on my screen right now, on the OPAC, I have this little, the online catalog uses functional cookies. These are essential to make the site work. You can see that at the bottom. And then I have an accept and more information. This is a system preference you would need to turn on to have this occur. You will have the ability to customize what this text is. So this is HTML customization. And you have the ability to customize what information that your user sees if they hit more information. So let's walk through that. System preference. And every time I see cookies, do I want cookies? Yes, I want cookies. I want lots of cookies. Cookie consent needs to be turned on if you do want that. So it will be by default set off, but you can hit require. And then if there is some JS you want to include where it's like a tracking code, you can do that, not necessary. Once you've turned that on, you can head over to tools and then customize what your patrons are going to see. And those customizations are called the cookie, more cookies, consent bar. So that's the bottom itself. And if I hit edit, you can see this online catalog uses functional cookies. and then the pop-up. And I grabbed this from PTFS Europe. So if you want me to share, I'm happy to share that with you. But it seemed like they knew exactly what to put. So I just copied that and added that there. Once your user has accepted those cookies, it's going to go away just like it does for everybody else. I think if I refresh the screen, I thought there was like a little cookie showing, but I don't see one. Never mind. Maybe they made that go away. But that's only if you want to add that at the bottom of the OPAC and staff interface, the cookie consent. Really up to y'all. There's lots of details that we have in the Help Center that you can see adding that. This only applies to OPAC, Koha OPACs, and does not apply to Aspen libraries. While I'm over here in my OPAC, we can talk about bug 36138. Add the cancellation reason to the status column on the OPAC holds history page. That status was already on the staff page, and I think they just wanted to add it to the OPAC. So if I go to holds history, I'm going to be able to see those canceled statuses such as damaged or whatever you have as cancellation reasons. That's being driven by an authorized value that you can customize what that sees, but you'll be able to, or your patron will be able to see that on their OPAC holds history page. Okay. Oh gosh, technical services. I probably shouldn't have left them for last, right? Because we love our technical services. Okay. I know, sorry. Okay. Place holds 27595. Place holds on accepted purchase suggestions. What? Sponsored by Bedford Public Library, Altadena Library District, and St. Paul's School. This is that Koha OPAC only as well? Yes, Koha OPAC on the holds canceled reasons. Thank you. Yes, not Aspen libraries. This is super exciting. This is for libraries that are using purchase suggestions and the acquisition module. So if I come in here and place grab a basket, I think I'm going to grab my Baker and Taylor basket. It's called upgrades. There she be. I'm going to add this basket from a suggestion. It's only going to show accepted purchase suggestions here in my page. Ooh, like mother, like daughter. Ooh, Kimberly McCrite. Can't wait. 7:30. I'm adding it to my basket. Going through my little process. So fun. Hit that save. Now we're going to go into this title. And I'm going to see a hold has been placed. So automatically, once I've added it to a basket, a hold will be placed for that patron. Something else to note from here, if it is not a purchase suggestion, you are also going to see a place hold option from the acquisition basket screen. So you do have an option to place holds for things you're placing in a basket. That's going to be more of a manual process, but you never had that link there before. But for purchase suggestions, that hold will be applied automatically for us. Okay, perfect. Place hold. We are going to now see deleted information about our bibliographic records from the basket. What? 10758 is the bug. Before this, what did it just say? Deleted record. Now we're actually going to see the title of the deleted record. So you can see here's one that I have canceled, and I have the ability to see the actual title of that deleted record in the basket. That's pretty awesome. Then the other one, I don't even think I have on the list, but if there was some reason that you wanted to delete the order altogether and it was part of this, you have a delete option also. So for whatever reason you want to do that, you can delete an order from that canceled line. Okay. You have the ability to cancel order lines in closed baskets. I actually didn't know this was a thing until I read this. Bringing back the system preferences, bringing them back. Cancel order in closed baskets. So if you wanted to cancel something that's in a closed basket, you can set this to allow. By default, it's going to be not allow. But think to yourself, you could always cancel orders, but you had to reopen the basket. Now you have that functionality to do it from a closed basket. So again, saving those clicks, turning this on, and then you can go ahead and go into a closed basket and cancel something. And then finally, that's not helpful, Kel. I have like the bib number. And then finally, you're able to 28449, you're going to see the invoice number from the acquisition detail, and it's clickable. So I can go ahead and click it and actually get to the invoice, which you never had either. So that's fantastic. You have now a new option to see that invoice number, and you're going to be able to click right over there. Now, of course, this is permission based. So if somebody does not have access to invoices as a CERT person, potentially, that will not be a clickable link. Okay. Another one that's going to be fantastic for libraries using OCLC connection 33418, allow setting overlay framework for connection imports. So this is going to allow libraries to choose a framework for overlaying of records. Before this, you always had a framework that you're bringing in your records for, and that overlay would use that same framework. You can now request that an overlay framework be different than your standard framework. If you have this process in place and you want to do that, just submit a ticket, because it is a backend customization that our systems team, yay Evelyn, does for us. But just give us that framework code and let us know that you want to update that connection. Nothing really to see here, but know that that option is available. What your standard framework it probably is default, Sarah, but you can always put in a ticket and ask us what yours is currently set at, and we could be able to tell you. But generally it's default unless you've asked it to be not default. Okay, I have 8 minutes. I did bring in, just to let people know, that there were updates to cataloging concerns. And I, for one, want to say I don't love cataloging concerns, the name of it itself. But my past life, I worked in tech services in a very large consortium. And I can see this option being really great, because we shared records and only so many people had the option to update bibliographic records. So I could see this as a great way to let somebody know that there's an error with a record, or the wrong cover image, or it's missing a summary, or it's missing information. So internally, cataloging concerns can be turned on for both the staff side and or the OPAC. And that was something that came, I think, in 2305. This entire feature itself, but there has been some new updates to this module. So I'm going to head over to cataloging concerns, my pending ones that I have currently. You have the ability to create ticket resolution authorized values. So if you had a different kind of workflow that you needed to assign, I got this cataloging concern and I need to resolve it this way, or I got this other one and there's another way to resolve it. You can create multiple resolution values, and you can create multiple statuses of your cataloging. So here's a couple that I have included, and I can see that if I go into the details, I can see, hey, the title is missing, and I can add an update if I needed to update it. But here's where we're going to get those authorized values. So whether the cataloging record has been fixed or has been updated, those are your resolutions, and you would add those yourself in authorized values, as well as you have different update or resolution. No, this is status. So this is a status and this is a resolution. So you can just add more information on how this process has worked or evolved. I really like the ability to assign it to different folks. So in here, you can see that I add some information and then I've added it and assigned it to somebody. So I can kind of see how this could work in a way through those larger consortiums if there is a centralized place that these catalog records are updated or changed. So just a few things that have changed in this process. And then finally, the third one is just to see all claims, not just active or not just resolved. You have this toggle. Cataloging concerns does come with this a permission of edit catalog, just so you know, not everyone can click over to see that. Okay. 10762, for anyone that are making barcode labels within Koha, you now have the ability to adjust the height and width of the actual barcode. So sometimes they were really short and smudged together, and people wanted them a little longer. So now you can adjust the height and width of the barcode on the label within the label creator. So that's, I mean, great for anyone who wants to be able to do that. I can tell you right now that it lives right in the layout. So you can have barcode width and height that you can adjust and just play around with what those dimensions are or what you're looking for. Okay. If anyone uses the authority search in the Z39, we have the ability to add mark fields to the authority search. We had this functionality several versions ago for bibliographic records in Z39. So now you have that for your authority search, and this is called additional fields in Z39 authority search. So this was your old one, and that's for your regular bibliographic searches. But if you wanted to add an additional column when you search, you get the value of that specific mark field in the search, you're going to be able to do that right from there. So do the same thing you did for the other one. And then when you do an authority search, that value is going to show up. Super exciting to do that. Oh, I got somebody who got woken up with that excitement. Ooh, that's exciting. We love serials. Who loves serials? Come on. You can be honest. We love it. 26567, allow the ability to limit subscription search to subscriptions with routing lists. So anyone that are using routing lists with their serials, you now have the ability to search within your subscriptions for anything that is using routing lists. Amazing. I love it. I had to throw some serial stuff in here. So that was one. Another one that I love is 32392, the ability to skip forward serial issues when receiving double or more issues. So if I go and receive my Bon Appetit serial, and let's see, my August one, I've hit arrive. I scroll down, I can say, hey, skip issues here. So it's nice to know that this didn't do this before. So if it was a double issue, it didn't know it was a double issue, so it was going to show me the next one. This is fantastic. So if I receive this and say skip issue, Koha is going to skip that next issue and give me the next enumeration that's after that. Super fantastic. Love it. Finally, you guys are, this chat, I don't know where it's going, this Koha crunch, this is going crazy and I'm like getting distracted. Don't look, Kelly. 35646, allow using the publication date parts for serial numbering. You now have some more functionality in how your numbering display happens, allowing you to use such as the month itself or the day itself. And I have one here. No. So we never had the ability to say like month name or day like Monday or Tuesday within the formula. And so now we have the ability to say, yes, show me the month or the day that it's released, and allowing that information to show up in the serial enumeration. So fantastic. Did I, let's see, save, go back to it, sorry. Once a month. So here I have my amazing numbering pattern, July, Thursday, August, because it's every month, what day, what month it's coming, and then what day it's coming. So just a way to really make those enumerations a lot nicer when you're looking for specific details in that 952. Yes, I'm excited too. Okay, am I almost done? Whoop, whoop. Okay, yes, I am. One more. Possibility to choose the Note tab and OPAC Serial Default tab, sponsored by the Athens County Public Library. So there, I never knew this system preference existed, but till today, or not today, but OPAC Serial Default tab. When somebody goes into a serial and searches it and clicks the title, where do you want to bring that patron? What page? Do you want to bring them to the subscription tab, to the title notes page, to the holdings tab? So now you have the ability to say, hey, I actually don't barcode any of my serials, so send them just to the subscription tab. Super easy. You can also go, well, I really want them to see my notes. So that's the newest one. Send them directly to the notes tab. This is 100% something you don't need to do if you don't want to, but you can go ahead and send them somewhere else other than where you have them before. We can go and hit this and say, oh, let's see what happens. Well, that's kind of annoying that covered up my option. Okay, there's my title note. So it will bring me right there. The other one was holdings or that subscription tab. So nice. Oh, I think Heather's excited, potentially. Oh, did I show everything? Oh, there's two things I didn't show. Hold on. It says on the fun things you'll see during the webinar. You didn't see those. Two of those. Cataloging. Oh, the wiggles. If you are in a cataloging record and you have permissions to go into the advanced editor, you're now going to have a toggle to go from the advanced editor to the basic editor and vice versa right from here, saving you, I think, at least 2 clicks. So click over here. It's going to go ahead and say, yep, bring me to the advanced editor. And that's going to bring me right there. And I think before you did settings and then the other one. So that is really fantastic. And then finally, the last one, I guess I didn't go into checkouts very often, is you have the option down here. Renew and check-in are now 2 different buttons. Before, renew or check-in was the same button, and it would just depend on what you chose above. Now you have 2 separate buttons. So really fantastic. Oh my God, I'm only 3 minutes over. Okay. Attached to the agenda, I believe we had some resources, 2311 or 2405. There's a lot there. I apologize in advance as you weed through it. We do also have a kind of a soft release of the help center we've created. Let me move it over, which is going to have a lot more information about the upgrades. So if you come here and visit, this is kind of not really been announced at all, but we do have a Koha upgrade page where it's similar to what it is in the blog post itself. But the further thing we've done is we've done the same sort of thing, but if there is more information, we're directing you further into the Help Center. So the details of features and enhancements live also in the Help Center. And what we've tried to do is take that information and not have it separate from the actual functionality, is just continuously add to that functionality. So here, this one was about, what was it? Add vendor issues. So it's bringing you to the acquisition vendor section and just adding that information right in there. So I encourage you to see how it looks, play around with it, see if you like that kind of functionality, but it's going to be great. You can search, you can come here and see. We've done a lot of the kind of feature related stuff here as well. And of course, we're doing our Monday minutes, but let us know. Perfect. The last thing I want to say is we are having a series, and I'm not sure if everyone knows about that series, but we do have a community gifted series happening where we had partners talking about different areas. Our first one was Eric Fetterplace from California College of Arts, and he talked about reports. We had Emily Lamacusa from Montgomery. She talked about cron jobs. We talked about the, Laurel's that she talked about sysadmin. And then next week, we have Brendan Lawler from Cape Libraries Automated Material Sharing. He's going to talk about Koha testing Dockers. So you can absolutely register for that. All our webinars are on our website, on our YouTube channel. So you can absolutely see those or register for them.
Kelly, if we could just loop back to a couple questions that have come up periodically
Absolutely.
through the webinar. One, people want confirmation that this will either be emailed out or where they can find the recording afterwards.
Yeah, it's going to be emailed out and posted on our YouTube channel and the blog post. So
Perfect.
like the blog post that you registered on, if that's where you did it, it will be linked there. It will always be on our YouTube list probably by tomorrow, and it will be emailed out tomorrow as well to all the people who registered.
And the other burning question of the hour is, with upgrades delayed, is there a date, or when can they expect a date?
There is not a date at this time. I think I heard
I can
was
answer that, Kelly.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
So our goal is to give you an announcement by next Friday of when that expected timeline is. It's going to most likely be at some time in September. But we are confirming a few pieces, and then we also want to make sure that the bugs that we are aware of, we have a good actionable timeline of when we can resolve those.
Perfect. Any other questions while you have us? I apologize. I know time is of the essence to people and they work to do, but please feel free to ask questions, or you can always email us or come next week, sit through the whole thing again. Lots to talk about. I wanted to make sure everyone saw all the things that was actually coming. So please feel free to continue perusing those notes. There's a lot of little nuggets hidden throughout that I know some people will be super excited about, and I just couldn't tell them all. Well, thank you all. Thank you to Lizette and Evelyn and Heba and Brian for showing up and making sure that I'm covering myself and making sure I could answer all the questions. And I appreciate every one of you for coming and getting excited for the upgrades. Okay, bye. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.